We're here with Dren, Puka, the Executive Director of Kosovo Civil Society Foundation. And let's start our conversation, actually. Hello, welcome
Hello,
to the corner.
Thank
We're we're discussing a lot about accession, enlargement, the EU, all the countries that are closer to accession, and Western Balkans being on the edge. But Kosovo feels like more on the edge because of the bilateral problems that it has with Serbia. Some internal political stuff too. But how do you feel? Where is Kosovo right now in that aspect?
Yeah, you put it very rightly. I think I do agree that Kosovo is on the very edge of this, on the edge part, and I think it reflects many of the complexities and difficulties of the accession process and how the EU sees the entire enlargement process. It was just yesterday here that it was launched that finally Kosovo will be included in the European Candidate Members Initiative, which started in 2023 with all enlargement countries, candidate countries, but Kosovo was left out. Since then, we initiated this campaign of actually demanding for Kosovo to be included. The reason for why we were not part of it is completely political. We don't have the candidate status as a state, and that has all its political implications, and then it is being sometimes used even for initiatives that aim to include civil society, not necessarily the states, in the early stages of the accession, like this initiative, and being part of the discussions and forums like European Economic and Social Committee. Finally, the committee reflected on that and corrected the decision that they didn't take in 2023, and from now on Kosovo will be part of it. But this, I think, reflects in many ways that complexity of decision making that is within the EU, and when it comes to enlargement process, rather than using the momentum and speeding up the process, there are always these middle rooms or new waiting rooms for either candidate countries, or in this case for civil society of Kosovo, just to be treated in a very separate lane or in this waiting room.
Because it creates a sort of a sentiment of the process not being meritocratic, of being more like shaped by politics.
It actually does, and what we were discussing here for 2 days, when we see it, what is democracy, what is the role of civil society? It's about participation, it's about this solidarity and building this ownership of processes and the country that we live in. First, we have to agree that democracy has to develop internally, but then knowing how our bilateral relations with the EU, it is also bound to these contractual relations that we have with EU, and I think that they could coexist. But in order for that to work towards a progress, it has to have these shared goals, principles, and be transparent. Otherwise, as you said, it builds this disillusionment with citizens, and the feeling that the democracy actually does not deliver, is not fair, and probably it's not for us or is against us, in a way alienating citizens with the EU, which actually is our main goal for the future.
And how do you see now the role of civil society organizations, since there are a lot of fears, and did this being part of this initiative now that started in 2023 without Kosovo, and now being part of this, does it allay some of the fears of lack of funding and decreasing of the role of CSOs, civil society organizations, in helping with EU accession?
Yeah, here I would want just to touch upon two points. We live in times when what we believe as liberal values and democracy is challenged by either liberal movements or more conservative politics. And what we see as a risk right now is EU and other donors and institutions responsible for this, including us as civil society, hiding behind this threat and not standing for what we believe, because in this way we will lose this battle. So the first part here is involvement of civil society in all EU integration processes. All countries in the Western Balkans have some sort of state mechanisms that are applied very incoherently. It's mostly ticking the box. It first should be
not
seen,
qualitative.
Absolutely not qualitative. It should be seen as something that improves and helps the processes, and not as a burden that and an additional tick that needs to be checked because of the accession process. The second part is the funding. We hear more and more the discussion about cuts of funding. We had a sudden removal of U.S. funds from the entire world, I would say, and including Kosovo. And now there's this panic. The panic, but also the reality of donors also considering reducing funding. I think that would be the worst approach to be taken. We hear more and more donors and states telling civil society that you should diversify funding. This is not the time to diversify funding, because there is plenty of funding out there. In order to diversify, you have to have options. This is actually the time when donors, EU mostly, has to stand for what it is, and not consider shrinking, cutting funding, but providing support, financial, but not only financial, but this also political and ideological support to civil societies throughout the region, so we can all, in a way, find ways on how to work within these difficult or challenging times that we live in.
Dren, thank you very much, and I hope also the forum helps see the urgency of the support for civil society organizations and our talk also.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.